It was a dark and stormy night. I was walking down a long road with my friend. About 50 to 70 feet ahead of the road, it would turn to go down a longer, straight-lined road. I suddenly got a disturbingly bad feeling, like something bad was about to happen. I looked to my left to see a set of houses, light blue. Matter of fact, they weren't even houses. They looked like them, but they were light blue trailers. In this case, since it was dark and stormy, they looked more like dark blue. But down to the point, I ran behind one of the houses that was about 3 houses down, leaving my friend on the road. As he screamed and started to ask why it was that I had left, he also stood right there where I was just running from. Less than 10 seconds later, from my left, the road that used to be in front of me showed a light. The lights then turned to reveal headlights, and the car started coming closer. As it got closer, I could see that the car was an old-fashioned car with a brown hood. It stopped right by my friend. As it stopped by my friend, he started asking who it was. The figure got out of the driver's seat and swung something in the back of his head. And as he pulled my friend into the trunk of the car, concern grew more. Something worse was about to happen. I could feel it. That's when the figure closed the trunk, got back into the driver's seat, and started driving. Driving towards me, that is. As he got closer, the light began to shine towards me. Luckily, I was on the other side of the house from what the car was on, so I hid in the shadows along with the rain and the mud with the wet sand and the wet grass. About 3 feet from me, on my left and right, were houses, the light blue apartment things that were designed like houses at least. The car passed me. It then stopped 2 houses down to my right on the other side of the road. Suddenly, rain got heavier. The rain was harder, and the figure got out. As it got out, I couldn't see the face, but I could see the body. The body was some sort of lumpy mascot-like character. I'd say it resembled a fat human mascot. The head was too big for a human for sure. It didn't appear to have any hair, and it didn't appear to have any clothes outlines. I couldn't see any other details. The rain was blocking it all. So, when it got out, it went to the trunk, and it started pulling out my friend. It then brought him into the house that was right in front of the car. Well, right behind the car. And then I quickly ran to the car and slid, scraping my knees and elbow as the figure went into the house on the other side of the car with my friend. I looked, and a greenish glow began coming from the windows. The windows were blocked from the outside with, how do I put it, curtains and other stuff like that blocking it. Suddenly, the lights turned off. Almost a second or two after they turned off, the front door had slammed open, and I hid right back behind the car. I knew he was coming out to get in the car. What was I going to do? If he had gotten closer, he would see me, and if he didn't see me, he might run me over for sure, at least in the position that I'm in. That's when I got on my back, grabbed the front part of the car, and pulled myself under. It was easy to slide under with all the rocks that were there. It hurt, but oh well. When I got under, the car was so low to the ground, I couldn't turn my head across to my other shoulder, my right shoulder to be exact. My head was facing my left, and the chin was right on the left shoulder. That's when the figure's feet began to come onto the left side of the car, or at least my left side of the car. As the rain got harder, it splashed even harder onto the ground, causing the water and sand to go into my eyes. As my vision got blurred, lightning struck, showing the figure's feet. It showed him walking across my vision that I could see. I couldn't move my head or anything. So, when I heard the sound of something heavy metal hitting, or at least scraping against the ground, or the road to be exact, in the outline of a hammer or crowbar followed behind the figure, my heart began pounding. Less than a foot from the top of my head was where the car was. I couldn't move anymore because the car was so low to the ground. It was only about 2 to 3 inches from my face, or at least the metal under the car was. As I heard the car door open and the figure got in, the car got lower to the ground, this time being only an inch from my cheek. And that's when he started the car. He drove off immediately, making the dirt fly into the air with how fast he hit the whatever it's called. And so he drove off. As the dust came by, I then saw that as he went around the corner and behind the house, within a second, as he was leaving, his car came back. It was like as if there were two of them, and as one just went around the house, the second one was coming to me. I got up immediately and ran to the house that my friend got pulled into. I didn't run in, but I hid by the side, in the darkness, the shade. As the car pulled up to the house again, the figure came out and he opened the door, this time leaving the door open. As he walked into the trailer, the greenish glow came out of the windows again. This time it was dark green. One was right by my face. I tried to look only to find nothing. I couldn't see anything in the room with the curtain that was covering it. That's when I heard a crack from behind me. I looked, and the lightning struck to show the outline of that same figure, and as it got closer, the outline of the figure had pulled something metal, or at least heavy looking, into the air. I looked back at the window real quick to find a shadow of that same figure there as well. And I looked behind me to find that the car was on and it was about to ram into me. When I woke up, I don't know how to describe it. I couldn't move. It was like I was paralyzed, and honestly, the room, it had a old broken couch and a TV with a line going through it with a blue background. The windows were all covered like before, and there were several of them, at least in the vision that I could see. I couldn't move my head, arms, anything. I could feel that I was strapped down, but I couldn't do anything but blink. In my vision, I could see at least 13 of those figures, and like before, I couldn't make out any direct appearance. It was like my vision was still blurred, but it looked like 13 of them. The last thing I remembered, at least before I woke up on a white stairway, was the feel of a hacksaw hacking through my skull.